everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Wisconsin Weather Experts on this Thursday. We saw some rain push through parts of Wisconsin late last night. There are still a few sprinkles in spots today. And speaking of the rain, we're always tracking it because we deal with drought conditions at times here, not only southeast Wisconsin, but the entire state. And Thursday brings the update of the week.
Oh, yeah. And so it doesn't really look like it's that many changes.
Yeah.
I mean, some areas are better than others, but we are still dealing with some areas where it's abnormally dry, at least from the northern portion of our state, just north of the Green Bay area. But also, as we take a trip at least south of the Milwaukee region, we're even dealing with a lot of those moderate drought conditions as well, as you see in that tan color. So we definitely could use a little bit more of that rain. I know we got some rain today, but not quite enough. So hopefully within the next week or so, we'll start to see more of those improvements. But as we recap on the rain we've already received so far this month, at least over half of those days of this month, we've had some rain. So we've had a good amount of rain over the past couple of days, especially for the beginning of starting the month. You see there, we got at least over a half an inch for 2 days back to back. So I think that was pretty good. We got a little bit less as we headed into this past weekend, but hoping for more rain so we can kill those drought conditions for sure.
Yeah, so it's probably one of those situations where, and even Milwaukee, I mean, we have not seen as much rain in Milwaukee as some of our northern communities have, so likely even less, at least over the last several weeks in some of our southern communities. But one spot that has dealt with a ton of rain, too much rain, parts of Texas, and now this is almost a month-long thing here. I know we're, only 12 days into June. Almost every single day so far this month, it's rained in this area. This is video from just west of Fort Worth, Texas. So this is in Palo Pinto County. It's about 50 miles west of Fort Worth, Texas. I mean, dramatic video, right? You can see just how much rain fell. Now, overnight, storm system rolled through, dropped about 6 inches of rain because it was stalled over this one area. That, of course, caused flooding. And first responders, get this, had to rescue at least 10 people. That's last night that this happened.
Wow.
This part of Texas, as we just talked about, has had rain almost every day so far this month. And so this is west of Fort Worth, but I've seen just as dramatic flooding videos from San Antonio and from Houston. And a little later on, as we dive into the regional forecast, I'll show you Texas. They're covered in flash flood warnings, even at this point, because this area of very heavy rain has been just sitting over parts of the state since yesterday.
That's insane, because if we're evaluating overnight's not that long of a time.
Exactly.
You know? And so imagine how much rain had to fall. Like, I can almost hear the sound of how that even sounded. Like, that's extremely loud white noise. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a lot of rain. I feel like I really hope that, you know, everybody is okay with all of that rain that they received in their area.
Yeah.
But as we switch gears here, we definitely have more to get to, especially in Ohio, as they have a chemical plume that was pretty much going on in their area.
Crazy video.
Yeah, look at that. That's a large brown plume of nitric oxide, and it was seen across parts of Ohio after a chemical leak from the Austin Powder Red Diamond facility on Wednesday. After the leak, the wind expanded. Look at that. That is insane. Looks like a dust storm almost.
It does.
The wind expanded the concerns to areas outside the immediate area of the plant. Now, officials say exposure to the chemical can cause irritation to the eyes, drowsiness, as well as a possible loss of consciousness. That's very dangerous. And the evacuation was lifted by Wednesday evening. So it looks like they've had some improvements, but that looks kind of scary. Like, I don't even know if we saw that here, I would have known what that was, you know?
It looks different than just your, normal wildfire smoke like we've been dealing with. But to the same extent, with a strong wind, you can't control where some of those chemicals are going. So it's understandable how so many areas had to be evacuated. Thankfully, I did not see or read or hear of anyone being impacted by it. So just a precaution, but still a little scary to see something like that in the sky.
Yeah, it is. I'm almost trying to figure out what it probably smelled like.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Did it smell like chemical? Like, did it smell like gasoline? Like, I'm just curious of how did it smell around those communities, especially the people that were in a very close vicinity to that.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure it was noticeable in some way. Absolutely. But we're thankful everything is fine now in that part of Ohio. Well, let's dive into our regional forecast. We've got plenty to talk about, especially down in Texas. But here's our view of satellite and radar across the state. This is where I want to start today. We had a couple of showers, couple of thunderstorms roll through parts of the state late last night into early this morning. Now, most of the state of Wisconsin is actually dry, aside from a few sprinkles south of the Green Bay area. We've got a few more towards La Crosse, but then there's sunshine in far northern parts of our state, and then down south, including here at our FOX6 studios in Brown Deer, Wisconsin, we've got a little bit of sun peeking through as well. So the rest of our Thursday is actually looking primarily dry from here in southern Wisconsin. So we'll take advantage of that. There is more activity as you look out towards the west, parts of central Minnesota. You can see far northeastern South Dakota, a good chunk of western and southern North Dakota, and then beyond towards the northwest, Montana, parts of Canada. All of this is going to continue to move off towards the east-northeast, so impacting more so central and northern Wisconsin when it comes to closer to home later on today and overnight. Look at this system, though. This is what we were just talking about that brought the flooding rain as it moved through Texas yesterday and late last night, and it's still impacting the Houston area and eastern parts of the state, now inching its way into Louisiana as well. There are still ongoing flash flood warnings at this hour. All of these little red boxes, especially down south, you can see here, are flash flood warnings. So flooding is going to be a huge issue, I think, still going forward today until this system moves out. But then as it moves eastward, it's going to keep that flash flood threat in for parts of the Gulf Coast. You can see as we look at the heavy rainfall outlook here throughout the remainder of the day today, it is looking pretty likely that flooding stays a risk throughout these areas throughout the remainder of the day today. We do have a system, again, a couple of storm boundaries across our area, low pressure down towards the south, but otherwise it's quiet out west, primarily quiet out east. Because we're in the middle of a couple of different boundaries here in the Milwaukee area and parts of Wisconsin, we still have that moisture that could keep a few sprinkles around throughout the remainder of the day today. A couple of thunderstorms still possible late Friday, but most of that activity is going to stay north and south of us. So going forward, you can see throughout the rest of today how some of those showers really favor northern Wisconsin as well as parts of Minnesota. So a few showers, not out of the question, but most of us are staying dry. Heading into Friday, we start to see that system south of us creeping northward. That could potentially bring in a few pop-up storms late Friday evening or afternoon into the evening. But again, it's not a huge chance here locally. As we look ahead to Father's Day weekend, Saturday, a couple of showers to start. Otherwise, storms look more likely out towards the west. And Sunday, Father's Day itself, still looking pretty good. We are not going to be as warm as we were yesterday. Yesterday we hit 88 in Milwaukee. We'll have the lake breeze today, so that'll keep us in the upper 60s to around 70. But down towards the south, it is still going to be warm. Parts of Iowa and northern Illinois still going to be well into the 80s. And you can kind of see the cutoff here along our northern tier of states here. Towards the south, it is still going to be warm. Salt Lake City all the way to New York City, going to see those 80s and 90s. We are still going to see some warmth. This is for inland areas, so lakeshore communities just a little cooler in the days ahead. But notice when it comes to additional warmth, we are going to see that creeping right back in by early next week. So summer lovers, don't worry, there's still plenty more ahead. Now, one other thing that we did not talk about for today, we still have an air quality alert here locally, more so west of Milwaukee, for wildfire smoke. Yesterday, because of the sunshine and the heat, we also had an air quality alert in the afternoon, but for a different reason. We are joined by meteorologist Tom Walks. Tom, thanks for being with us this morning. You are here to explain.
Hey, Steph. Hey, Holly.
Hey.
So interesting. Yeah, so we had this air quality alert yesterday, and I remember when they issued it, I'm going, wait a minute, there's no wildfire smoke in the sky. Well, it wasn't for smoke. Unlike today in our western communities where we're seeing a little bit of that smoke coming back in, yesterday, well, we hit 88 for a high in Milwaukee, 92 in Kenosha, and that led to what's called ground level ozone creation. Let's talk about this here. What is that? So ground level ozone forms on those hot days like we had yesterday where the sun is just beating down, and that mixes with pollution on the ground, particularly from cars. That's really the main pollutant. And that creates this ground level ozone. And I know typically when we hear the word ozone, we think high above us, right? But it can form at the ground level as well. And on those hot days, when it does, folks with asthma, COPD, other respiratory illnesses, when you breathe that in, it can cause issues. So the effects are the same, wildfire smoke versus ground level ozone, but the science behind it is different, but both can trigger air quality alerts from the DNR, and that's what we had yesterday for the ground level ozone. Now today through mid-afternoon in our western counties, it's actually different for that wildfire smoke reaching the surface. So again, same result, but different science behind it, guys. So again, very interesting. That's why we always have to be watching, right, for what's in our air, not only what's in our skies, but what's in our air as well.
You got it, Tom. Thank you. It's always good to know the difference. Even this morning compared to yesterday, Holly and I were like, oh, today's has to be wildfire smoke because it is that different setup. So thanks for that explanation. It's just good information to know, especially if you are sensitive to some of these particulates that we deal with very often throughout our summer months. Moving on, we have really exciting news out west for anybody who likes to maybe hike or travel?
Yeah, we do. In Utah, to be exact. So
I love this.
It's exciting news out of Zion National Park. It's in Utah. So after about 2 years, the bridge connecting the Zion Lodge to the Emerald Pools Trail systems is once again open to visitors. Look at that. So cool. They're just placing it all there together. It looks like a movie or a game I used to play. But as we look at that, the bridge is closed in May of 2023 after a landslide impacted its stability. It is then moved upstream outside of that area that is active with flash floods and landslides in hopes that it would provide a longer lasting solution. So it looks like the landslides kind of ruined that.
Yeah.
And so they were able to actually get the bridge back up. Looks like the Bridge of Terabithia. I don't know if you've seen that movie. And so that's exactly what I thought about. But I'm excited for the people that really want to get out there and enjoy.
This is such a tourist spot, but also just such a beautiful spot too. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people, this is on their bucket list of national parks to travel to, just an absolute gem. So happy that a well-traveled area that this was able to be fixed and put together. It's the same bridge, it's just in a different spot with better stability now, and they won't have to deal with any of the weather that, as we all know, can cause problems. Yeah. Well, something exciting back closer to home, but on the same level. More than 30 years ago, the city of Milwaukee set out to build a top-flight Riverwalk. The next phase of that project began a couple nights ago in a once neglected area along the harbor. This is so exciting. Local leaders gathered at Komatsu on Greenfield Avenue for the groundbreaking of the Milwaukee Harbor District Riverwalk. The Riverwalk is planned to stretch about 3/4 of a mile on the west side of the river.
Community members told us what mattered. Access mattered, safety mattered, nature mattered, and a sense of belonging mattered. And guess what? We listened. We listened.
The groundbreaking coincided with the Milwaukee Harbor District's 10th anniversary too, so that's pretty fun. This is just such a beautiful area, or what will be a beautiful area. It's not so great right now, but we need to highlight our beautiful river and our beautiful lake, and just anything to bring tourists there, or to bring, just Milwaukeeans in general to these spots to enjoy such beautiful scenery. It's so worth it.
I agree, and I honestly think it's going to pull people out of the house even more.
I agree.
I think people are going to get out and they're going to want to see what it looks like, and they're going to go out there. And if weather is behaving, I mean, that's the number one thing that gets people out. If it's sunny or if its temperatures are warm enough, people are going to be out. And I think that's perfect that they're actually doing this, because again, we want people out and enjoying and soaking up all of the sunshine.
Exactly. Well, speaking of sunshine, starting to see a little bit of it here in the Milwaukee area as we take a live look outside. Still a little hazy. We do still have some wildfire smoke. We've got plenty more Wisconsin weather experts coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for staying with us here on Fox Local, as well as our Fox 6 YouTube page. It feels like we've been talking about wildfires and wildfire smoke for months now.
Yes.
But it is the season, unfortunately. We've got the ones in Canada that are impacting us here in the Great Lakes region, but unfortunately, there is a new fire out in California. Evacuation orders are in place due to a wildfire burning in San Bernardino County in Southern California. This is called the Ranch Fire, and I mean, very dramatic video, as you can see. It actually started Tuesday afternoon, so not too long ago. That's only a few days ago. It has already burned over 4,200 acres, and at last check, it is now 40% contained. So that's some good news. When I was looking at some of this footage yesterday, it was only 10% contained. So it looks like maybe the weather is working in their favor now, but I just, it's always heartbreaking to see more of these.
Yeah, and then it's like the wind doesn't help. Like you look at this and you see the wind taking those flames on and on and on. I mean, and even after this, for areas that aren't even dealing with the actual fire, they're dealing with the wildfire smoke, and that's still hazardous, and that's what we're dealing with here in our area. So as we continue to deal with that wildfire smoke across the Great Lakes regions, there is one more caution or precaution that we should take that is not often talked about, and that is changing your carbon air filter that's in your car. Our Fox Detroit's Derek Kevra has your details.
A sealed system inside your car, but all the air that you're breathing is coming from the outside.
And what's outside the car right now? Smoke, pollen, dust. How do we keep it out? The answer, a clean cabin filter.
A good air filter can make a huge difference, and if you don't change it often enough and it gets clogged up, you won't get good air.
Here's where it gets confusing. This is different than the engine air filter that you change during oil changes.
When I'm getting my oil change, they say, do you want to change your air filter? That they do ask me about that.
They do, but it's the engine air filter because that's where they're spending all their time.
Okay, so that's what this one is. That's for this filters out the air for the engine.
Correct.
This filters out the air that I breathe.
Exactly.
Oh, this is inside the car. Right. This is inside the engine.
You got it.
The forgotten cabin filter, often located inside the glove compartment.
So most cabin air filters are located behind the glove box. Some are easy, some are not. This one's particularly easy, so open your glove box. Hopefully you don't have too much stuff in there. Take it all out. Usually you'll see a little door. A couple tabs on it to open the door. Then you have a cover for the cabin air filter itself. So you click those tabs, pull that cover off, and then you should just be able to reach in, pull the cabin air filter out. Try to pull it gently so if there's a lot of leaves and stuff in there, they don't go all over the place. And then when you're replacing it, you want to make sure you see if it has an up or the way that the airflow goes, because you want to put the new one in the same way.
Cabin filters should be changed about every 15,000 miles. And while not all are this easy, during high pollutant seasons, you should be thinking about them.
That's all you got to protect you from what's outside to coming inside the car.
Derek Kevra, Fox 2 News.
Wow. Our minds are blown.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, I thought that whenever you get your oil change, and they take out that filter, I thought that was it, but that's not it.
No, it's separate. And to be able to do it yourself, too, that's huge. That's something you and I could do.
Oh, yeah. I'm like thinking about it now, like, okay, I'm going to go be handy-mandy and just try to do it all myself. No, that's actually really cool, though.
Yeah, and I'm sure in a normal season, we probably don't need to do it too often, but that's helpful if you really are sensitive to some of the wildfire smoke or just the allergens in general that we're dealing with from, this season especially. That could be very beneficial.
Yeah, I bet you can probably tell the difference once you change it to, like, OMG, I was, like, breathing in all of this, like, dirty air,
Yeah. Wow. Well, there you go. News you can use. Well, keeping on the theme of wildfires, a growing number of fire departments across the country are turning to AI, artificial intelligence, everybody is for the most part, to help detect and respond to wildfires more quickly. Fox's Kennedy Hayes has more.
They're getting a full 360-degree picture of the landscape.
High in the mountains, rotating AI-powered cameras scan for signs of wildfires. The goal, give fire crews a crucial head start against the flames.
We run a smoke detection algorithm. So essentially looking at the imagery to try to figure out, is that smoke or not smoke.
The system, called Pano AI, sends warnings about potential fires to a human intelligence center for review. Verified alerts then go to Aspen Fire via text or email with an exact location. Aspen Fire says they were the first in the U.S. to adopt this tech 4 years ago as wildfire risks drove up insurance costs.
We're looking at the Pano AI interface. So that smoke that you probably can't even see, the AI detected. It gives us that instantaneous intelligence. So we can make a decision based off of that and not off of, hoping we get someone there quickly.
Aspen Fire officials say their goal is for crews to be on scene within 5 minutes, something that would be nearly impossible without a precise location.
Look at this neighborhood right here. You can see how dense it is here, and this is an urban area.
Aspen Fire Chief Rick Ballantyne showed us a burn scar from a recent controlled fire used to reduce wildfire risk.
It went perfectly. We were able to stop the fire.
In this case, Aspen Fire said they used Pano AI cameras to help monitor the flames and prevent them from spreading. Pano AI says the system is now active in 10 states. Multiple fire agencies within those states can share alerts and back each other up.
Frankly, we are all behind. So having this type of tool for our department, it makes all the difference in the world for us to understand the conditions that we're sending firefighters into.
Also very just enlightening too, because a lot of times these wildfires, they're not easy. They take place in areas that are not easily accessible. That's what we've been talking about in Canada too. The reason why they're still burning, they're in mountainous regions or marshy regions. It's hard to get there to actually control them.
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool too, because it kind of also reminds me of like the GOES, which is the satellite, geostationary satellite that's like on the outside of Earth. We kind of have one now like inside, and it's specific for the wildfires, because I mean the GOES, it rotates, but sometimes I don't think they pick up everything in time, because you know how fast a wildfire can actually spread and that information getting in. So I think it's a good idea, honestly.
Yeah, very beneficial in many ways. Let's take a live look outside right now. We have plenty more, at least a little bit more, coming up here after the break on Wisconsin Weather Experts. Welcome back, everybody. Another great viewer picture for you. This was actually from a few months ago. I've been saving it, but I do want to talk about it. This is from Mike in Sheboygan. What are these objects over Lake Michigan? Now, it's hard because this is a smaller scale photo, but if you look very closely, if you're able to, number one, you see almost like a white line out over the lake, and then right next to it, it almost looks like an upside down city. This is likely what's called a mirage, which is an optical illusion, and it's all thanks to the warmer air just above the cooler lake. It leads to horizontal rays of sunlight bending downwards, then cooler, denser air bends that light toward the eyes of anyone standing by the beach. So this is likely part of Michigan, maybe a building in Michigan or something out over Lake Michigan that looks like it's floating and upside down.
Yeah, it looks cool though. I'm glad that you have this picture because I don't think I've ever seen anything like this.
I've seen it once in Indiana looking at Chicago. It's wacky, to be honest with you.
Wow.
But there you go. Thanks for staying with us. We will see you tomorrow at noon here on Fox Local.